It's Watch Wrestling with Mike Wellman, yo. Hit the mat hard, let the punches throw. Slams in the drama, your new favorite show. We drop the hot takes, keep the crowd in the flow. Clotheslines, power bombs, suplex the beat. Tune in weekly, we'll take the hot seat. From the ring to the street, the vibe stays elite. Watch Wrestling with Mike, nobody can compete. The face and the heel, we break down the deal. Wrestling fan Kris, the man and the myth. Voice of the people, that's a hypodermic needle. Clotheslines, power bombs, suplex the beat. Tune the beat, tune in weekly. We'll take the hot seat. From the ring to the street, the vibe stays elite. Watch Wrestling with Mike, nobody can compete. Mike's the name, wrestling's the game. Hit play every week.
What's up, gang? Welcome to Watch Wrestling with Mike Wellman, the podcast that breaks down the biggest stories in and out of the ring. I am your host. My name is Mike Wellman. Thank you for hitting that play button. We appreciate you here. As always, this is episode 92 of Watch Wrestling with Mike Wellman. We have been doing this dang show for a little bit now, folks. We have been gunning and running, or running and gunning, and we're back now after the birth of my second daughter, which has just been amazing. So we took a few weeks off the podcast, had to go sit on an uncomfortable chair in a hospital bed for a few days. No big deal. But we are back now, folks. And as I said, this is the podcast that breaks down the biggest stories in and out of that wrestling ring. And joining me, as always, to break down everything this week, my co-host, the man and the myth, the voice of the people, the hypodermic needle, wrestling fan Kris. What's up, Kris?
What's up, Mike? Good to be back, and congratulations.
Thank you. Yes, it was a interesting experience at the hospital. We are all home and happy, and took a few weeks to just take a breath, and now I am back here ready to complain about sports that are fake. Because that's what we got lined up for you guys on this episode. We are going to be talking about WWE letting R-Truth's contract expire. What? We're also going to talk about Mariah May popping up, making her debut on NXT this week. We're also going to preview some Money in the Bank. I mean, there's probably only like a match and a half on that card, right? So we don't have to really worry about too much detail. It's mostly just going to be ads on Money in the Bank. So ads and Logan Paul. So we'll get to all that. And if we have time, we're going to talk about Darby Allin climbing Mount Everest, folks. Spoiler, he did it. Haven't seen him back down at sea level since, but I did see a photo online of him at the summit of Mount Everest. So we told him not to do it. Don't listen to us is the moral of the story. Right, Kris?
Yes, but I'm glad he's alive. Did he do a kickflip on the mountain, or am I just making that up?
I don't know if he landed a kickflip or nollie heel flip or something up there. I don't know what he was able to accomplish, but I know that he did make it to the summit. So good for him.
Good for him. Yeah, absolutely. Good for him.
Yeah. So, let's talk about R-Truth first. So we learned this week after watching Ron Cena versus John Cena at Saturday night's main event last week, we learned from a tweet from R-Truth that his time with WWE is up. Little did we know when we saw him at Saturday night's main event that the last time was now.
Good point. I didn't even think about that. Poor Truth.
Yeah, so I wanted to talk about this one because this sort of stuck out to me as opposed to other releases or folks kind of jumping ship, because you've got R-Truth right on your main show in a featured match again, and essentially a main event match against your biggest star, John Cena, along his retirement tour. You even made a T-shirt for this moment to sell. So R-Truth is good enough to be featured on your main show that your broadcast partners are paying you for, to draw those eyeballs in and get those views on the Peacock and the NBC and you can sell T-shirts, but sadly, R-Truth, he may have been making too much money, right? So, target on your back in America when you're making too much money at your job.
Oh, yeah. I mean, what a lame excuse, though. I can understand people who are making too much money and you're not using. Like, I like Carlito. I always have. But, I mean, he was kind of just like an add-on to Judgment Day. I kind of get if he was making too much money. I don't want anyone to get released, but I kind of get that one. But, I mean, Truth's been around for so long, consistently. And no matter what you ask him to do, he can always at least bring some comedy. He's always out there doing something good. It's crazy to release a good hand like that. It's wild.
Yeah, I would say that R-Truth was never not funny, right? Like he would come out and do the most ridiculous skits. He was definitely a comedy act for the majority of his WWE tenure. But unlike most things on wrestling, R-Truth actually accomplished being funny on purpose,
Yeah.
So
and let's not put aside that he was actually a pretty good wrestler too in the ring, which I think helped a lot too, because he can do good stuff in there. And so his comedy kind of like, it wasn't just comedy. Everyone kind of knew he was also pretty good in the ring. I'm honestly gonna miss him, even though I feel like at one point a couple of years ago he popped up and did something. I'm like, I can't believe R-Truth is still around. So like it was that kind of thing where he'd be gone for months, but then he'd pop up and you'd be like, man, that was a great segment.
Well, the whole point or the whole premise of Truth having a match with Cena on Cena's retirement tour was that Truth has this history with John Cena where the character of R-Truth, he says that John Cena was his favorite childhood wrestler. And it's obvious that Truth is like a few years older than John Cena, so that doesn't make any sense. But it was all part of Truth's gimmick that nothing he did makes sense. He would come out in the Women's Royal Rumble match. He would come out in the Women's Money in the Bank match, probably. He would just come out at these inopportune times when he was not featured in the match. And that he would just show up at all the wrong times. Right. And he would, whatever day it was, he would not say it was that day. Right. And that sort of character stemmed from his imaginary friend gimmick when he had little Jimmy originally. And that character really stemmed basically from like R-Truth getting hit in the head too many times. And then he started having an imaginary friend. And then that turned into, now he's, like I said, now he's showing up in the Women's Royal Rumble match.
And that lasted for so long, and it was great the whole time.
And then Saturday night's main event, he comes out dressed as John Cena to John Cena's music. It all works, right? And my question coming into this show was going to be, do we think that this cutting or this not renewing of R-Truth's contract, because you got to differentiate, somebody loses their job and they're kicked out on their ass, you got to make sure you get the particulars right about how it was written on paper, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So R-Truth, him ending his time in WWE or them not renewing his contract, was that decided well in advance, and then they kind of put him in this spot as sort of a going away present, or featuring him knowing with him being on the up and up that this was his kind of last run? Or was it kind of sprung on him, decided last minute? But I think it's come out that, he was offered a lesser contract, which he declined, right? So, which does make sense for the company, because I heard people saying, well, why couldn't you just offer him a little bit less if he cost you too much money, if that was going to be your excuse? Well, it seems like they did. But then from the perspective of a person being offered less money, you don't really understand that predicament until you're in it. So Truth might have said, all right, I'm out of here,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the man. I don't know his financials, but I mean, for a 19-year career in the WWE, he probably has some money saved. So why would you want to put yourself through that for less money? I wouldn't do it either. I mean, I know, like I just said, sometimes he pops up every like 7 months and we don't see him, but you still have to travel. You still have to be at all the shows, even if you're not on the show. Like, that's a hard life to live, especially when they're just like, hey, thanks for your 20 years. You want to take a little less to be on the road 250 days a year?
Yeah,
I wouldn't do that. Good for him.
Essentially do the same job for less money.
Yeah, no.
And it's usually significant less money, right? It's not, oh, we're going to pay you a few thousand less, No,
it was hundreds of thousands. Yes, absolutely.
If someone's too expensive, you really got to replace them with someone cheaper. Generally, that's how that works in the business world.
Yep.
But Yeah, so I think that the reason why this one, like I said, stuck out was because we're just seeing R-Truth featured here on the show with the focus being on him, and for them to just say, well, he's too costly, so we're done with him. I think I think because he's so beloved by the fans, and he was never relevant. I don't want to say this the wrong way. He was never relevant enough to become irrelevant. Right? Like somebody would have a hot streak, or they would be pushed, or they would have a program with someone that they'd get a lot of eyes on him. Truth was consistently entertaining, but he was never highly featured up on the card in WWE. So he never really got worn out, in my opinion. Again, also because he was actually funny. It wasn't like an unfunny comedy gimmick that they were trying to shove down our throats.
Yeah. I mean, he actually made the 24/7 title fun for a little while. Yeah. All because of him.
Yeah, so I think that there's going to be some more backlash with this than when you just normally cut 6 or 7 people from WWE, but I don't think it's necessarily I don't think it's going to be detrimental to their bottom line. I don't think anybody's going to protest or cancel the network subscription because of R-Truth. So, like I said, it sticks out because R-Truth is very well liked, loved by the wrestling fans, and just to me, okay, great, you're paying him more than you would like to. To me, it's like, what is it that you sell here, right? You get all these people to give you their money, and what's more valuable is our attention, and then we're forced to watch all these ads and logos in our face that those companies pay WWE for that coveted spot for our attention. So you have someone that's on the show, you're just getting rid of them. It's like saying, working at a restaurant and saying, we're not going to serve this dish anymore. Everybody loves it, but the food cost is too high.
Yeah.
It gets great reviews. People come here to eat it, but the food cost is too high on that dish. So, we're going to get rid of it because it saves us money and we can pocket more money ourselves as the owners.
Yeah. And it's not even like, and I don't know big business. Sorry, I'll never see that kind of money in my life. But it's just weird because you're getting forced to see all these sponsors. So you assume like they're getting more money from sponsors, right? They're making more money. So who cares? You mean R-Truth's making too much money, but you're getting all this extra money from sponsors. And I have to be forced to see a Prime bottle in my ring or whatever it is, So that's why it's weird to me.
One place we'll never see a Prime bottle, my recycling bin.
That's correct. Or
my shopping cart, or my Amazon cart. I don't know where you buy these things, but just the idea that you're making more money than ever, but oh man, that guy costs too much money. Like the money's all going in one place; it's going to the top, right? It's not. So what? And you cannot say that R-Truth did not contribute to the current success that WWE is having. He was there for 17 years and he was one of the most popular guys. There was a time period when we first started the show, Kris, that I texted you. I said, I think I figured out that R-Truth is actually the most popular guy in WWE, right? Mm-hmm. There was a time period where they had almost no, stars. And R-Truth is still coming out consistently doing his thing, selling the shirts, all this stuff. And I'm like, I don't think anybody's more popular right now than R-Truth, And at the time you laughed and you were like, yeah, right, like he's R-Truth.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, listen, I'm pretty sure he's the most popular guy. And that was a few years ago. So I just think like, you're cutting, it was like when they cut Bray Wyatt, everybody was kind of like, whoa, wait a sec, and again, it's always going to be budget cuts. Oh, it's budget cuts. We got to cut the budget. We got to team up on that lawsuit.
And this... Nice. This is not a strictly TKO or WWE or thing or UFC thing, but like no one wants to hear about budget cuts when your CEO gets a $15 million bonus or your Triple H's get a $5 million bonus. We don't want to hear about budget cuts when that's happening. Sorry.
It's disingenuous at that point when there's so much money going around coming in, right?
Yeah.
To tell someone that you contributed to this large pile of money coming into us, but you don't get any of it,
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So anyways, I want to talk a little bit about just cutting R-Truth because I guess maybe if he wasn't just in that program with Cena, to me, it wasn't just that he was on the show. It was that highlighted his value, right, to the show. So I wanted to talk about that release in particular. But with R-Truth now, with these other releases, some of them we can kind of say are easily going to go to AEW. Some of them, there's always one or two of the releases where we're like, don't think they're going to go anywhere fast, right? And then there's guys where we think maybe they'll go here, there, TNA, Japan, whatever. But like with someone like R-Truth, the next biggest company, AEW, he would seem like a odd fit there because the fan base, the AEW fans tend to reject the comedy acts, right?
Yeah.
Especially like the beating you over the head kind of comedy acts. Like Stokely Hathaway coming out and making a joke from the 90s is one thing. They kind of just slip it in there. It's not the focal point of 20 minutes, of the show. And I think they've experienced that where they tried to branch out a little bit and it's like the fan base says, no, right? We want 5, 6, 7, 8 star brain melting wrestling matches, right? So that being said, I wonder how much R-Truth could still have in the tank in ring, as far as wrestling ability, being a little older. He's like 53, something like that. So do you think we could possibly see a 5-star classic between Ron the Truth Killings and Kenny Omega?
I mean, Omega could lift him up there, and I only say that because he's a little bit older, and he really hasn't been taking bumps. I don't know what he in the gym, but I mean, he hasn't been wrestling that often on TV. But I mean, Truth is a good wrestler, so I could see it. I think it really is up to him. Does he want to go in there and wrestle? I mean, AEW doesn't have house shows, so he doesn't have to be on the road that often and do that many bumps. But it's up to him. He can make a killing doing just like appearances. So
I think the way to get what I just said, if there was ever a path to that, it would not be R-Truth showing up in AEW. He'd have to show up at like GCW shows, and he'd have to go from being the funny R-Truth character to being like, holy shit, he can still go, and he'd have to have like a four-star match against somebody in like GCW.
I mean, I've been watching
a bigger match.
Yeah, I've been watching some clips of him when he won the NWA title in TNA way back when, and man, he could really turn into like a heel, like yelling at you and cutting like hardcore promos. So if he really wanted to do that, I'm sure he could. But like you said, he's 53. I don't know.
Yeah, I was just throwing that out there because it'd be a funny thing in the wrestling universe to see just R-Truth versus Kenny Omega in a few months or something. The way the world is now with wrestling.
You know what though? Matt Cardona versus R-Truth somewhere sounds pretty awesome to me.
Oh yeah, I hadn't even considered that. I'm sure that's a good payday for everybody.
Oh yeah,
long merch lines, right?
Yes,
for sure. All right, so let's move on here. Let's stay on the topic of WWE, but I think I'm officially now on the bandwagon to say that WWE, the product as a whole, to me is boring, folks. That's right. I said it. It's boring. Cody versus John Cena at WrestleMania was a dud. The only thing this match was missing was fireworks that didn't go off. Right?
Yes, got him.
John Cena's heel run is a dud. John Cena comes out here and says he wants to ruin wrestling. Well, he is not ruining wrestling. The only thing he's ruining is his last year in wrestling. Right?
Yeah.
And we got The Rock. Cody seems to be stuck in a holding pattern with his championship because of The Rock. So they bring in John Cena. It's kind of a convoluted story about, is there going to be some type of faction with John Cena and The Rock or some type of alliance? And then, nope, we just never see The Rock again. We get Travis Scott showing up at WrestleMania. Like I said, it was a dud. Now Cena's the champion. This heel run is boring. This feud with Cody is boring. Teaming with Logan Paul is boring. This is boring, folks. And the goggles came off, right? We've been in this haze with WWE ever since the merger into TKO and the ouster of Satan himself from the WWE. We've been in this honeymoon period where Triple H's guys from NXT are all now on the main roster. I honestly thought that everything would be right in the wrestling world when I saw Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa on a WWE main roster holding championships. I figured that's all there is to it, folks. Once we get to that point, we are in the promised land. But no, sadly,
Nope.
we get, this 3-hour SmackDown with a lot of filler content. The SmackDown or the Raw, which tag team division is worse right now? Raw or SmackDown, would you say?
Oh man. God. Raw.
Raw, right. But the SmackDown tag team division is kind of convoluted. The women's booking lately in WWE, and I am not here to generally criticize a booking philosophy as a whole or anything like that, but my gosh, you've got these mid-card champions taking pinfalls every other week. It's like, what are we doing here? The women's tag team titles. Is Jon Moxley have those in his briefcase too? The women's tag titles in WWE, they just cut like half of each tag team in their last round of cuts. And Triple H not exactly beating the allegations with cutting our truth here. Yeah. Right? So there's a void, right? This show is devoid of creativity. And on top of that, you're forcing more ads onto the show, less wrestling matches, more logos on everything. Like everything that we put our eyes on is now a logo in WWE. Sandwiched in between ads. Pat McAfee is bad on commentary. He ruins moments of this show that would have just been better on mute. You got Penta's coming out one day, and I swear Pat McAfee goes, there's a silence, Penta's entrance, he just goes, Penta, dude. He's just, yeah, dude. This is awesome, dude. And I know I sound like the crotchety old grandpa, but folks, you've got Corey Graves on NXT. He's a much better person to have on commentary than Pat McAfee. The show is better when you have someone on there who knows what these moves are called, right?
Yeah.
Not everything is a giant double slam, okay? You don't have to be Excalibur calling out every move from your move bingo card, but come on, you got to know some of the moves here. So just the product as a whole lately is just boring. What do you think, Kris?
I agree. This is like, to me, we're in the 1998-99 WCW where the after effects of popularity are still coming around, but we're on the downswing creatively, where it's like, you're right, because eventually people are going to get sick of Pat McAfee. Like, I liked Michael Cole for a little while. I still like Michael Cole, but he's like too much involved in it. He's going to go down. McAfee annoys me. I mean, the storylines are stupid. I mean, you have Julia, Stephanie Vaquer, all these great wrestlers that I'm super excited to see. You have the Motor City Machine Guns, Ciampa, Gargano. Now Candice LeRae is with them. I love it, but like, I just know it's going to go nowhere, and that's where we're at now. And I get so frustrated by all these things. The Cena thing, it was like the worst thing that's ever happened. Cena pisses me off. He has never actually made me mad in my entire life, really. Even when he was Super Cena and I was bored with him, he never made me mad until now, when I can tell he isn't going full-fledged as the heel thing because of his endorsements, right? How can I watch heel John Cena being all mad and saying like, oh, you guys suck, I hate the fans, I'm going to ruin wrestling, and then the very first commercial I see is a drumstick commercial with John Cena smiling and eating drumsticks? You can't do it. It's garbage.
Why would I buy a Honda Ridgeline from a voice if that voice is an asshole on TV? No. Yeah, so Cena is... I don't remember getting, like even when John Cena was the most vanilla, Fruity Pebble guy, I don't remember thinking, like, this is garbage. Because you could just say, like, it's obviously for children. There would be children in the crowd wearing the clothes. It's like, okay, it's for kids. It's like Bailey. Bailey was for the kids, right? When she was babyface. But I don't remember ever just wholly rejecting, like, I want to say, like, they're in the ring and John Cena's cutting a promo, and I want to say, like, cut. No, John. No. That sounded like bullshit. Do it again. Like, he's trying to... Yep. They're trying to give you this narrative, and it's like, all you're doing is filling in these cracks that you guys created by focusing more on the need for everything to be a viral moment, and there's no story behind anything. There's no depth to this wrestling show. And I know that, there's going to be detractors out there that'll say, well, they're trying to get mainstream audience. Okay, great. Like, so what are they going to turn into? Why don't we do like a wipeout episode in the middle of Raw or SmackDown? Because SmackDown's 3 hours, right? So why don't halfway through Raw, we'll set up like a big fluffy obstacle course in a pool, and we'll have like John Cena and The Miz commentate it, and we'll have the wrestlers come out and just bounce on their ass in the water until they fall down. That's entertaining.
Yeah, why not?
Some people might like that. Why wouldn't we put it on the show? Oh, because it has nothing to do with the product here. That's just what I think when anybody says like, oh, you just want this old smoke-filled room wrestling match or chain wrestling, and it's like that's not going to bring a lot of, new audiences and all this stuff. It's like, well, you're just carrying water you're just being billionaire bootlickers, right? At this point, the defenders of WWE's decisions, whether it's people online that are going to say, oh, it's business, they cut our truth because it was budget cuts. It's like, listen, you just let me know how that billionaire's boot tastes. That's all.
Yes, correct.
You lick it so I don't have to.
I think this whole thing is so funny. I don't know if it's just us or like our ilk, but like this whole like WWE is boring now and we can see it coming is so funny to me because I think that like people are kind of going back to me. I'm like, I kind of like Tony Khan. Like it's like we're like he's not that bad. We're like kind of like all kind of going towards AEW again, I would think. I mean, and we're like, Tony Khan is a guy who loves wrestling. The tides are turning and it's kind of remarkable.
Yeah, so I think the pendulum is shifting in one way, and I want to differentiate because people will always kind of come at me online and argue a point that I didn't even make, right? Like, do I think WWE is now going to lose money or have less people buy tickets because the ticket prices are going up? No, of course not. I'm just saying that they've hollowed out this product. They've gotten everybody to agree to buy it. I'll buy the tickets even though the price is going up. I'll watch on Monday nights. I'll watch on Friday nights. I'll buy the Netflix subscription. I'll do this. I'll do that. I'll participate on social media. They've gotten everybody to buy in. And they've essentially done the quintessential pro wrestling grift, which is make you pay for a product and then give you a cheap facsimile of that product, basically. And that's what they're doing creatively with the insulting fans' intelligence and all this stuff, with like the main stories and whatnot, and just inability to go anywhere other than to the next ad.
Yeah. It's also another thing. It's kind of frustrating too. Is like I was saying about Julia earlier and stuff. The roster's so great. Like Penta's here, Rey Fenix is here. We have all these great wrestlers on this roster. Can we do something? Can we have any kind of angle? Something? And it just drives me insane.
Well, they're too busy looking at metrics about who got more social media impressions, Dom or Liv. We got to fire somebody. Who's it going to be? Somebody needs a new Olympic in-ground swimming pool in their mansion. Who are we going to fire? Who didn't have enough TikTok likes? Yeah. So I don't know what else to say about that. I don't want to complain too long, but I do want to. Oh, the pendulum. The pendulum has shifted because it was clearly swinging back in the way of WWE. The wrestlers all wanted to go back to WWE. There was frustration with Tony Khan taking his eye off the ball in AEW. The fans have kind of moved over. The WWE ratings, the AEW, there's that crossover fan base. They kind of tended to be going toward WWE. WrestleMania 40 essentially was this sort of high point as far as firing on all cylinders. The Rock is back. Cody is the supreme baby face that's going to lead us into the future. All my favorite guys are on the show being booked the way I want them, and et cetera, and everybody could say all that. And then after that, they kind of just went nowhere, right?
Yep.
They kind of went nowhere. The Bloodline, it did have to end, the Bloodline storyline, but it did kind of just end. And I think that some of the things, if I had to point, because we're working on another episode, spoiler, about a past wrestling story arcs that kind of when they sort of went down. I think The Rock showing up in the ring on the Netflix debut with Cody Rhodes, the WWE Undisputed Champion, in the crowd. I think that was a big head-scratching moment for a lot of fans to kind of say, like, what are we doing here? And then just the whole lack of follow-up, I think, kind of with a few stories, but that one in particular, between that and then the Wyatt Six showing up, kind of not really doing anything, right? That seems like another group where they just don't know which way to go. They seem to have all of these pieces right at the starting line, and they just don't know where the heck to go. Or they've got this lightning in a bottle, and they just don't know what to do with it, you know? And then it just goes away. And I think that they don't really necessarily prioritize the product itself being good at the moment. And that is when a fan like myself decides it's time to complain, to be a Cody crybaby.
And I mean, look, you know, I hope no one comes at you thinking that you don't say stuff or we don't say anything about AEW too. We have had a long history of talking about how much we are annoyed by the Death Riders and how like that's a dead end story. So there's other things. It's both sides. It is just getting frustrating.
Yeah, for sure. So I did have to kind of carve out some time on the show to make that point because it is not all roses, folks, right? We don't want to just say we love everything. And then we do generally do that here just to give you kind of a glimpse into how we think about things. When we don't like something, we tend to just cut it from the show. We just won't talk about it. Like, we'll give attention to the things we like. But we don't want to seem somehow complicit in trying to feed you guys, the audience, more bullshit. Because our obligation is to our viewers and our listeners and to give you guys our opinions on people dressing up in their underwears with baby oil, throwing each other around. I think I lost Kris here. We lost him, folks. Are we live? Are we live?
Let's do it again.
Are we back? You're not on the right microphone right now.
All right, hold please.
Yep. Folks, we're going to hang tight here, folks, while we listen to an ad from our latest sponsor. Are you back yet, Kris?
Hello. Check.
All right, Kris, wrestling fan Kris is back with us. What happened? Did you step on a hypodermic needle?
Yep, I was going through it. Sorry, everybody.
Well, so the voice of the people is back. And Kris, I just have to ask you, did you see this power bomb spot the other week between Coyle Fletcher and Adam Cole?
I sure did. Oh boy.
Horrible. What? Sometimes the things we see on wrestling are so just stupid, right? And that I have to throw in the incredibly stupid category, you know? Because, for one, you've got this move where was that the goal, what we saw? Essentially a powerbomb on someone's head on the ring apron, not even their whole body having to smash into the ring apron, but just the head. Is that the new level we're taking this to? And then your job is just to barely miss, so we think someone hit their head. And then to try that incredibly dangerous spot on Adam Cole, of all people, who was out for, it seemed like, over a year because of a concussion that he suffered, and it took him a long time before he could even run the ropes because of post-concussion symptoms. Terrible. Awful. Somebody should get in trouble for that one.
I mean, it was disgusting. I mean, man, if you can't do that move better than that, don't even attempt it. Like, it's crazy that was so bad.
Again, I don't even know what the goal was. Obviously, he seemed to be okay. It seemed like he either hit just the back of his head or he missed. But no, that was incredibly... Like, we just watch this stuff as fans and go, wow, that looked like it hurt a tremendous amount. But these guys are professionals. They must know what they're doing. And that's how they get away with just maiming themselves, is because that's the oversight. Well, they're professionals and it's all fake, so they must know what they're doing. You know?
They should. I mean, that's not Adam Cole's fault at all. So luckily he...
If I was Adam Cole, I'd be fucking pissed about that.
Yeah. I heard that people were very upset backstage with Kyle Fletcher. So hopefully I say hopefully he gets in trouble, but he should get some discipline or something.
For me, it's more like like of a training issue or a making a rule that people actually have to follow, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's probably already a rule against that. You could easily find somebody like whatever, $5,000, let's say. I mean, you could fine them 10,000. I don't know, but that kind of stuff is because the other extreme here is that when we don't see people dying left and right, we think, oh, these moves must be okay. But then what you'll hear is these older wrestlers or these aging wrestlers talk about how it was really one specific move that messed them up. Mm-hmm. One specific night, one specific instance, or whatever. And it's like, these are the moments where you can choose to do something insane or not. And it's not necessary for me to take someone like Adam Cole and essentially risk his life and career for a outside the ring spot.
I agree.
So yeah, I saw that move and that was horrendous to watch.
I heard about it. So I heard about what was about it first and like read some descriptions before I saw it. And I was like, oh, that doesn't seem that bad. I'm like, oh, it sounds bad, but it couldn't be that bad, right? Then I saw it and I was like, oh my God, that's one of the most horrifying things I've ever seen.
It was. It really was one of the worst spots I've ever watched where someone didn't, almost, it seemed like it could have been essentially fatal, right?
Yeah.
That spot.
Yep.
So that is what, to me, was like, whoa. And there was another spot that I wanted to talk about, less severe, but still bad, was this spot from the TNA pay-per-view. Now it's been like a month or a month and a half ago, where I believe it was Casey Navarro was jumping onto a group on the outside, and he just hit the floor.
Was it Leon Slater, I thought?
Oh, was it? Or
let's confirm. Hold on.
Oh, yeah, it might have been Leon Slater. But I think Casey Navarro was one of the guys in the match.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
who didn't catch him.
Right. So you had, I mean, the funny thing is this group of guys that was, because he went off the top rope. I don't know if he did like a shooting star onto them or a moonsault or something, but this is who was out there. Matt Cardona, big dude. AJ Francis, former NFL player, very big dude.
Yep.
Moose, the biggest dude in wrestling. Moose. His name is Moose because he is that much bigger than every other person. He's as big as a moose.
Also a former football player.
Right. I mean, there's so many people out there, and they all somehow did the same thing. Like, okay, so Matt Cardona, he kind of just put his arm into the group and kind of like looked away like this, like, that's not going to do shit, okay? But to be fair, the only reason why I would give him any type of a pass is because one time Blake Christian just jumped out of the ring over the corner and landed right on him, and he basically absorbed all of Blake Christian's weight and just tore his pectoral or something, or not his pectoral, his bicep. So he'd done that before and tore his bicep and just had to miss out on a lot of bookings and stuff. But to me that's almost no excuse still. But I just know that like if he's putting his arm like he's gonna fucking so funny. So yeah, so I just want to talk about that too because that was just people being stupid too.
And there were so many people out there too. It wasn't like two guys. It was just like he's okay too though, thank goodness. That could have been bad too.
Yeah, that could have been bad. But that was just I watched that one a lot because I wanted to watch what each person in the field there did in the moment when they could have been kind of like trying to catch him a little bit. Like they didn't all have to absorb all of his energy, They could have kind of had him land on one leg on Top Dollar, one leg on Moose. I don't know. But yeah, so is there anything in AEW that we want to talk about? We've got we had Double or Nothing, which was a great show, one of the best shows in a while. I think that we had a match of the year candidate in Will Ospreay versus Hangman.
Yep.
And you watched that one over my house, and we both thought that Will Ospreay was going to win for sure.
Yeah, but I gotta tell you, I love Hangman. Like I knew Hangman was great. I liked all the stuff he was doing, but this story is awesome. That his long story for first with Swerve, now to this, and he's also just great in the ring too. Hangman's maybe my favorite wrestler right now in the world.
Yes. Definitely one of the best in the world. And, I mean, probably my favorite wrestler right now. I mean, Penta is kind of like my forever. As long as he's wrestling, he'll be my favorite wrestler right now. But, you know, once you have that kind of a spot for someone that they can never get out of, you kind of have to pick another favorite wrestler. So that's where Hangman kind of comes in for me as well. But, yeah, I kind of figured out right when, I mean, what was it? It was like a face-off, and then there was like a buckshot, and I don't even remember the ending. But it was a great match overall. And when Hangman won, I thought, they had kind of been giving you both sides where Ospreay, he's telling you he's the next guy, essentially. He is the best wrestler in the world right now. He's essentially the uncrowned champion. And, he's the guy that gets to walk around and say, nobody is better than me, right? And mean it. So then you have Hangman, who his side of the story is redemption, right? He's got to get the belt back. He's a former champion. And I like how they're like, you know, something terrible happened to Hangman. Swerve went into his house. And it's like, yeah, and then he burned down Swerve's childhood house.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, okay, something bad happened to him, but then he did something else that was way worse. Like, why are we not talking about the fact that he's an arsonist? You know, once you start burning down houses, you get the itch for it. You know, you just can't stop. I think that's going under the radar here with Hangman. You never know what he's going to burn down next. But no, it was, you know, he's the former world champion. And really, the Swerve thing is really a metaphor at this point for what happened with Hangman's career getting derailed, not because of Swerve, but because of Phil. You know, because of the whole the workers' rights promo, the promo, the day the world stood still when Hangman said he was going to stand up to CM Punk for workers' rights.
What a day!
and then, you know, he jeopardized that first $1 million gate by doing that. Because did you know that when you when you call someone out at work for their behavior and then they threaten to not do their job, you're costing the company money? Did you know that that's how it works?
Yeah, that's the business.
That's any business. I told my coworker that they needed to stop stealing my lunch. So then they said, well, I'm not going to come to work now, and you're going to now jeopardize all my workload.
Yep.
Because you called me out for stealing your lunch. It's like, no, obviously, you know, you can take whatever side you want on that one. But, yes. And then, the next part of that's funny is the reason why Phil didn't want to go to work was he was afraid Hangman was going to shoot on him, right? He thought that Hangman was so unpredictable that he might shoot on him. So that's what we have, folks. We have the former UFC fighter who's afraid that the former school teacher was going to shoot on him in a fake wrestling match.
What a business.
Yeah. So that was what really derailed Hangman. But then obviously the Swerve feud is what he used to kind of get back on track, get this thing back on track, brother. And then now we have Hangman beating Ospreay. And what I thought to myself was, okay, Ospreay was the obvious choice to me. But in this case, that you still have Hangman. And if you go with Ospreay, well, that was Hangman's redemption story, right? And he came up short. That's kind of it, figuratively speaking. Not saying that it was a, loser leaves town match or anything, but when the guy's story is that he's got to get back to his old spot, and then he doesn't, that's kind of the end of the story, right? Because how does he get there after? So by putting Hangman there, now you say, well, Will Ospreay, he wasn't good enough right now, right? Hangman presumably now will hopefully beat Jon Moxley at All In Texas and win the AEW World Championship. And then, you don't want to wait too long on Ospreay, but maybe Hangman turns heel, maybe he doesn't. But you could have Ospreay then, his crowning moment could be taking the belt from Hangman. So yeah. I feel like you just give yourself more options than just picking Ospreay now because he's the guy right now.
Yeah, I like where your head's at. I mean, it happened with Dolph Ziggler in WWE so often where he was the guy who wasn't going to win the big one. towards the end of his career there, like he was the underdog. He was the underdog. You can't beat him. He's not going to win. And he never did win. So he just got derailed at all points for so long. So you're right. You have to have Hangman overcome this and win. And I mean, Ospreay's great at doing like a series of matches with people. So I mean, and even if it's 4 or 5 months from now, we'll all remember this match and it'll be a rematch and Ospreay can win and it'll be awesome.
Plus, Hangman also kind of earned this win on merit in the build-up to this match. It wasn't let's give Hangman the win. Mm-hmm. You would have been taking it from him by giving it to Ospreay. They both had a solid case for why they should be the next challenger for the AEW World Championship. And when in doubt, you got to go with the mustache.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Hangman's
and he's,
mustache.
Cowboy shit in Texas makes sense to me.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, he's from Virginia, but whatever.
I know, but hey, details. Yokozuna wasn't from Japan either. Okay.
Yeah, Chief J Strongbow was Italian. But yeah, so then on the women's side, we have Mercedes Moné, who won another great match at Double or Nothing against Jamie Hayter. Now she will be taking on Toni Storm, and they have set this one up already, and they have already kind of set this one up as a very big match, and I am looking forward to it. Finally, this is probably going to be the biggest match, the biggest women's match in AEW history. I mean, I'm saying probably. Probably going to be one of the best. So far, they've had some good women's matches. I think the Hollywood ending was probably the best one.
Yes. Agreed.
Mercedes versus Stephanie Vaquer at Forbidden Door was right up there as well. That might be the single best match in AEW, the women's match in AEW history.
Yeah, that was awesome.
They are definitely going for the biggest possible match here, right? With Mercedes, she still has the TBS title. She still has all the belts. Toni Storm, women's world champion. And Toni Storm has been doing a great job lately, and she just already basically built this matchup perfectly. The only thing is they kind of need to have these two go away now because this thing might peak a little too early because they still got like a month and a half.
Yeah. Yeah, good point. I mean, yeah, they probably won't. They shouldn't because they're like must-see TV, especially Toni Storm. But it's gonna be a good match. I'm looking forward to it. It is gonna be good. How do you don't have to talk about it too much, but how do you feel about the online discourse about Mercedes and like compared to Hogan never losing, should have put Jamie Hayter over? What do you think about that?
I think it's stupid because she hasn't lost, but she's actually way better than Hogan was. Or she doesn't want to. Just the idea that somebody doesn't want to lose, it's stupid.
Yeah, because like, look, people who win in wrestling always get over, and people who don't want to lose are the smart ones, and they're the biggest stars always. And she probably I don't think she's a troublemaker. I don't understand why people get so mad. It just drives me crazy.
Yeah, if I saw something that said otherwise, that I thought was credible, I would consider it. Like if she was starting fights in the locker room, or if everybody hate her for some reason. Just the fact that she's winning every match. I mean, she's one of the top 3 best women's wrestlers in the world, if not the best. So what do you do with her? You're just mad because they didn't just choose Jamie Hayter to win.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's ridiculous.
I can see that people might start to maybe not like her in more of a Triple H, Randy Orton kind of a way, where they're kind of always winning and you get sick of them always winning, like what you're saying with Hogan. But it's not that she doesn't deserve. It's not like she's running in and having a 9-second match after the main event to win the title.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, we're not there yet. This is a good build to someone who's going to challenge for the women's championship. It completely makes sense to me.
And I also,
this is who you want.
I mean, for those people listening, I'm sorry to say, I think she's going to beat Toni Storm at All in Texas too.
I also think so. Yes.
I mean, Toni Storm is phenomenal. She might be the best wrestler in the world when you consider the overall character and not just bell to bell,
Yeah.
But they paid a lot of money to sign Mercedes. I think what happens, I think people's short attention span kind of gets to them. And when Mercedes got to AEW, AEW didn't just double their viewership overnight. So people said it was kind of a a bust, or she wasn't as popular as she was in WWE, or the fans didn't really follow her. But sometimes that is just noise on the internet, and this person has essentially been going out there on AEW and having the best matches in AEW. And AEW is the place where people try to have the best match ever, like on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
So I just don't know how you can complain. Like she's giving you what you want. Well, maybe not, apparently, if you don't want her to win.
It's pretty crazy though. I just we haven't discussed that before, and I just wanted to know because I'm like, it's such a weird thing. That's all.
Now, if if there was some type of situation where I thought she was just friends with the boss and that's why she was on the show, or if the only place she got a pop was in her hometown or something like that, then maybe I would buy that. But
yeah, or even if she was bad in the ring, which she's not, it's crazy.
And she hasn't. I'm not bored at all yet.
No.
If that was what you're looking for.
Thank you.
So we'll talk about AEW more next week. We'll get into a little bit more what's going on the big Fighter Fest show tonight. But we want to talk about Money in the Bank before we get out of here. So WWE is holding their Money in the Bank. I mean, at this point, are we really calling them premium live events? They're kind of moderate live events, if you ask me.
Well said. Yes.
Moderate. Live event from the Intuit Dome in Los Angeles. Let's talk first about this main event tag team match, right? So presumably the main event of Money in the Bank is going to be a tag team match between John Cena and Logan Paul versus Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso, right? Did I get the people right?
Yes.
Okay, good. Sami Zayn's not in this one?
No.
No? So this kind of came about because at what was the last pay-per-view? Payback? Backlash?
Backlash.
John Cena ran into Jey Uso, and this is how relevant and memorable WWE moments are right now. Jey Uso had to remind John Cena on screen that, hey, the last time I saw you, we were the last two guys in the Royal Rumble, and I threw you out and won. Meanwhile, you've got the world champion facing off with the Universal or the undisputed champion right there.
Yeah.
So book that one for a future Saudi Arabia match. But you get this moment where John Cena says, I'm trying to ruin wrestling here, so I think a good way to ruin that would be to help a YouTuber become the world champion. And it's like, oh, okay, I see what's going on now. So then, of course, Cena comes out, tries to help Logan Paul, doesn't work. Cody comes out, returns. Haven't seen Cody since I saw him on Instagram. He was checking out Epic Universe. But haven't seen him on WWE television since he was sitting on the ramp dejected in the closing moments of WrestleMania. So he comes running out, helps Jey Uso fend off Logan Paul and John Cena. And then they say, we'll see you at Money in the Bank in this forced tag team match, the final seconds of this pay-per-view.
Great.
So that was the build. John Cena wants to troll us all by helping Logan Paul become champion, or he did, and now they're buds. He was just enjoying some time with his friend, Logan Paul.
Look, here's what a lot of things make me upset, but I think the thing that makes me upset the most is if John Cena was actually putting his heart behind this heel turn and was completely different without the hat, without the gimmicks and stuff, and was just being a true heel, this would be an awesome story because, yes, we do not want Logan Paul to be anywhere near the world title. He is some idiot YouTuber, and John Cena would ruin wrestling if he was helping him out, and that would be great. But this is just hat, shirt, jorts, Cena, half-ass heel. So it's all stupid to me.
Right. Yeah, and Cody and Jey Uso, they're not boring. I mean, the whole yeet thing kind of came from them being funny in a press conference when they were like just saying yeet over and over again.
Yeah.
And now, Jey Uso is the world champion. Obviously, that's not why he's the world champion. But since then, Jey Uso is the world champion. Cody is now the former WWE champion. I just don't know where any of this is going. Are we going towards a rematch with Cody and John Cena? The CM Punk is building up more of a feud with John Cena and The Rock than Cody is, or Jey Uso, or anybody.
Yeah.
So
I kind of
know.
I kind of want Cody Rhodes like far away from John Cena. Because he's getting bogged down by this horrible fake heel turn. I know you want him in the title picture. I get that, but I mean, do something else, Cody. Like, you're gonna get the after effects of how much John Cena is not taking this seriously.
Right, or he just disagrees with. I mean, I can only speculate. Maybe he disagrees and doesn't want to put his whole effort into it. He's kind of dejected, or because I mean, these really are the last time John Cena is going to be in your town, and it's not like he's not like this crazy heel where we're like, oh, bravo, sir, you are such an asshole, bravo, you're doing such a great job, Like, I can't believe someone could be so heinous. He's just, it's almost, I mean, I don't think this is what he's doing, but it's like he's just going through the motions,
Yeah.
It's what it comes off as. And I think it's just because, like I was saying earlier, it's just devoid of substance. So, cool. Logan Paul.
I'm hoping that this is the main event so I can stop watching.
I'm just going to go back and watch some old Logan Paul moments on YouTube.
Oh God.
So that's a match that's happening. Another match that's happening that's not a Money in the Bank match is Rebecca Lynch versus Lyra Valkyria, who I don't know why I thought Becky was still the Intercontinental Champion. I must be sleep deprived. I think I know she lost the belt back to Lyra, but then I thought she won it back. I don't know, but I was surprised on Raw. I'm like, Lyra has the title still? Wow. Mm-hmm. I think Becky Lynch is going to win the title, the women's IC title at Money in the Bank.
I mean, if you want to make the title feel important, sure. But I mean, if Lyra beats Becky Lynch, that still makes it feel important too. It's just she has to win more after that. I do love this old school gimmick too of like, if Becky loses, she can never challenge for the Intercontinental title as long as Lyra's the champion. That's a good old school kind of feel. I kind of like that kind of addition.
Yeah, but I think it's also kind of that makes it kind of a guarantee that she will win.
Yeah.
That's the old school thing as well, is that they would never not have that person win.
I know.
Just Cody against Jericho in AEW. That was the only time.
Well, this is just if Lyra's the champion, Becky can't challenge for it. So, I mean, that's not that bad.
Yeah. But yeah, so that should be an interesting match between those two. Any other matches besides the Money in the Bank matches? They really need to add something.
No, there's not.
There's also I feel like people are talking more about the Worlds Collide card going down on Saturday, where you have WWE and NXT and AAA, all these brands.
Oh, God.
Colliding in a spreadsheet. No. WWE owns AAA and NXT. So we got Vikingo. He's the AAA Mega Champion. They just gifted him the title. He didn't beat anybody for it. You didn't have to win a match against anybody.
Yeah, no.
He's just handed the title, just like Triple H was handed the world title in 2002 by Eric Bischoff. So, yeah, I don't even know what matches are on that card. It's just happening the same day as Money in the Bank, and it seems like it's going to be pretty cool.
I mean, yes, it looks pretty good. Yeah. And Chad Gable doing double... is he doing double work? I'm not sure. Chad Gable is going to be on both shows. I mean, maybe. I know there's a masked luchador in one of the Money in the Bank matches who borrowed Chad Gable's boots the other day, but...
Chad Gable's boots might be doing double duty.
That's true.
Chad Gable is wrestling El Hijo de Vikingo, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And
pretty good. I mean, that's worth tuning in for right there.
I just want to know, like, he definitely deserves all of this. Not the Grande. I just don't like the Grande Americano. But Chad Gable deserves to be like on TV every week. He's very good.
Yes.
But what changed people's minds about him from going from like Shorty G to, oh, this guy's one of the best in the world?
I don't know. Good question.
Where we need to bring him to other countries to show him off.
I know. Maybe they just finally let him wrestle because he is very good at that.
I feel like there was a moment with him where people were like, he's awesome.
Was it 205 Live when he's just going there, putting in the work, putting in great matches, and they're finally respecting him? No, you're right. That wouldn't do it.
No, nobody watched that.
Yeah, but the people did. I mean, the backstage.
No, I'm saying they didn't watch it. They didn't.
Oh, there you go.
They looked at their phones when they're supposed to be watching the monitors. But yeah, so Chad Gable in the men's Money in the Bank match, we can talk about that now. I am so surprised that CM Punk is not in this match. And just basically and on this card at all.
Yeah.
You know? So in the match, I'm just going to try to raw dog it here. I'm not going to Google anything. We've got Penta. That's it. Who else? I don't know who's in this match.
I got it here. Yeah. Solo, Sikoa, Seth Rollins, Andrade, and LA Knight.
Yes. Okay. So just right off the bat, who do you think is going to win the men's Money in the Bank?
Man, I think it's going to be Seth Rollins.
I do too. I think it's going to be Seth Rollins because it should be Penta, but they're already pigeonholing Penta into this "you're never going to be in the main event" spot.
Yep.
You know, they could say like, "You'll sell the most T-shirts. Everybody will love you. The kids will buy your masks. People would say they flew across the country to see you, but you'll never be in the main event." So I don't think it's going to be Penta. Can't say for sure it's going to be Andrade this year. You know?
Yeah, probably.
LA Knight has been squandered.
Correct. Yep.
Solo. I mean, geez, what do you even say about Solo?
Nothing.
Does he have a chance to win this match?
I mean, maybe, but he's probably like the third or fourth place for me.
You know, it's weird because he has a crew, which is not the Bloodline. It's just the Islanders, right?
Yeah.
Just the whole Pacific Ocean, right?
That's right.
Because, you've got Solo Sikoa, Samoan. You've got Tongan. You've got JC Mateo. He is Filipino from Guam. So.
Yeah, whatever.
It's just the whole Pacific Ocean. Any island in that general area, you're good with Solo. But he's got his crew that could help him, presumably, as heels. But then Seth Rollins also has his new alliance as well with Bronson Reed and Bronson Breakker.
Yeah. And that's why he needs to win it. That's a fun group, and they need to get some more push, if you will.
Yeah, I don't understand the logic of having CM Punk come out and say, "I'm going to win the Money in the Bank ladder match," and then he's not in the match. But you don't exactly have Andrade coming out or LA Knight coming out and cutting promos talking about how passionately they want to win the Money in the Bank match, and they're in the match.
Yeah, that's weird.
Like, if you want to make it so every guy has a narrative about and motivation for why they should want to win, and they express that on TV, so we don't exactly know who, so it's not telegraphed who is going to win, it makes the show more interesting. But when you just throw 5 random guys in there, and then one of the guys that says he's going to win the match isn't even in the match.
Yeah.
That's weird to me.
Listen, this isn't going to happen. There's like a 1% chance of this happening, but does CM Punk does El Grande Americano go into the ring at the end and CM Punk comes out with the mask on and then wins and takes the mask off?
No, but that's funny. You know what? I was listening to a different podcast. I don't remember which one it was. I'm sorry. And they were talking about Grande Americano and Chad Gable. Like, are they going to do a thing where Chad Gable is out and then like it's Americano again, but then it's Chad Gable, like they're twins, but not with the mask? And so It made me think because Kurt Angle, he's a wrestler like Chad Gable. He had his brother Eric Angle, right?
Oh yeah, yep.
But you know what they just need for Chad Gable? they just need to have actual Kurt Angle wear the mask and see how long it takes people to notice.
I was. Well, hey.
Like Grande Americano, and it's just fucking Kurt Angle.
I mean, it's incredible.
See if it can go 3 minutes. Like, see how long we can go. I don't know why. I just thought that the other night. But, yeah, El Grande Americano is in this match, I think, for a reason. I don't understand the whole booking them in 2 shows when you have this. You could just put CM Punk in that match if it's going to be inconsequential, and especially if Punk is not doing anything of consequence elsewhere.
Yeah, it's super weird.
They had the opportunity to, especially when they're going up on ticket prices, you can just give people what they pay for. You're not losing anything. You're already paying this talent a yearly salary or a contract, essentially, right? So just make them come to work.
Yeah.
Put on matches. This whole I know what the people want. It's like if you owned a restaurant and you had a meal on the menu and you said, I know what people want. They want half as much of this plate of food for the same price. That's what the people want, right? You want half as many matches. And I know the alternative is AEW, which has way too many matches on their pay-per-views. You could cut out 3 or 4 matches, right?
Yeah.
You could divide these shows up into 2 nights with AEW. But for WWE and every once in a while, Saturday Night's Main Event, when you're shoving extra shows on the calendar, have a 4-match card, whatever, network TV, 2-hour window, whatever. But this is Money in the Bank. You've got 4 matches. What are we doing? I don't care how many drones you fly over the great city that we're in to tell us about when the dam was built in this great city and the paper mills or whatever Joe Tessitore is going to talk about along the banks of the... I couldn't think of a single Great Lake just now. Along the banks of Lake Michigan. I don't know. Is anything along the banks of Lake Michigan?
Probably. Don't ask me though.
Is that where 8 Mile is?
Could be. Isn't like Chicago on the
Bank
of Lake Michigan?
So, yeah. So there should be more matches. So as far as WWE guys right now who are kind of like on the injured list off the table. So Kevin Owens is out indefinitely, or he's basically out definitely, right? Yeah. Because he's not coming back, right? His career might be over. So what's going on with Sami Zayn at the moment?
What was he just doing? I just watched what he was doing.
They're building him up as the next world champion. I don't know why we can't see him.
Yeah.
Punk, he's going for The Rock now, right? He's
Cool.
talking about The Rock. Like he's trying to literally goad The Rock back to work,
He has to get his win back, brother.
So, Drew McIntyre, what's he up to?
Yeah, I know. That's what I was thinking too. Priest.
Last time I saw Drew McIntyre, he was laying in the middle of the ring while Drew McIntyre walked out the front door. Can't do a good Jesse. The World According to Jesse. Do you remember that show? Did you ever watch it?
I did not watch it, but I remember the show, yes.
It was Jesse's conspiracy show. The World According to Jesse. When you can just walk out the steel cage door and there's a limo waiting for you outside the cage.
I'd watch that show right now if it was on.
Who's driving the limo? Tito Santana? They put that cage in there to keep your opponents out, but eventually they'll put the cage up to keep you in.
Thanks, Jess.
He was there. He was shitting on the finish of the cage match at Saturday Night's Main Event.
Listen, if you hire Jesse, that's happening.
On the broadcast. He's going, because think about it. He's supposed to be this, whatever. He could be a character. He could be whatever. Anything he says, you can chalk it up to fiction because he's being a character. But all he's doing is insulting the literal creative choice made by the company for that moment on the same show.
Amazing. Yep.
Like imagine at the end of Lord of the Rings, Bilbo Baggins is on the boat and he's going to go off into the elven sunset. And Frodo's just like, what? You're just going to go off into the sunset? Anybody can just go on a boat into a giant bright light. That's it? You'd be like, hey, yeah, wait a sec. Frodo's
like,
right.
hold on.
This ending blows. Get back here, Tolkien, and rewrite this shit. I don't know. But yeah, I just feel like there's other people on the WWE roster that we could put on Money in the Bank. You don't got to be J.R.R. Tolkien to write this card a little better.
That's right.
Actually, is it? It's not J.R.R. Tolkien. That's not his name. No, it is J.R.R. Tolkien.
Yeah.
John Ronald Reuel Tolkien.
You got it.
Somebody should see if he's under contract anywhere. We need writers. So, women's Money in the Bank match. Who's in this one? Rhea?
Rhea, Alexa Bliss, Roxanne Perez, Julia, Naomi, and Stephanie McCure.
Yeah, this is an insane lineup in this match.
I know. I don't know who's gonna win, but I don't care.
Yeah, I would. It depends what they want to do, and they're not really telling you in advance via hints, sort of what they want to do. And they're not doing anything consistently with the Money in the Bank briefcase, where like it's not a guarantee that this is for the next up and comer to cross that line and become a champion, even if it's like they're too early. Like, you know, it's not an opportunity for a young talent like, let's say, Roxanne. This is like, okay, Roxanne wins. She steals the championship because all the women cash in and win. That's happened before, right? We had Liv Morgan. She had that dud title run where she beat Ronda. Then we have Tiffany right now, who, well, no, she won the Royal Rumble, but didn't she also? Yeah, she won.
Yeah, she was Money in the Bank. Yeah,
she won Money in the Bank, and so it's just not like it's not utilized like it wasn't originally when you got guys like Edge and CM Punk and RVD, where you're like, holy shit, this guy's gonna win the belt, and it could be tonight, or Dean Ambrose even, right? But so that being said, I don't know if it's gonna be somebody like they are pushing Stephanie Vaquer like crazy. And that's another thing. I don't know how fast they're going to push her. They might just put the belt on her, have her win. You know, I'm not really sure what they think of that. As far as how fast she can go to the top. They might see it as a, let's do it tomorrow, you know?
Yeah.
They might go with someone like Rhea because she's still the most popular on the women's roster. She's still Rhea Bloody Ripley, you know?
Absolutely.
So then it's like she gets the belt now. Same thing with like Rollins. He's already been there, done that. He's already won the championship, won Money in the Bank, been world champion. So he could win it, and then now it's like him getting the title back. Now it's that signal to the audience that this guy's going to get the title back. Kind of could be the same thing with Rhea. Because I don't think that they know how to like kind of get young talent over that threshold, you know?
Absolutely. Yep.
At least on the men's side, the threshold in order to be a main eventer is just the age of 40. Just turning 40.
Yeah.
You know, you can't be in the main event picture in WWE if you're under the age of 41 and a half. Right?
Just the rules. Yep.
It's just unless your birthday's in December, then you got to be 42. I don't make the rules. It's like kindergarten making the cutoff. You gotta wait a year. Wait till you're 42, then you can get a title shot. Sorry. You turned 41 too late in the summer.
Well, been there. Been there with baseball, let me tell you.
Then you end up a year behind. You know, these 40-year-old guys are already gonna have multiple title runs. No, what I'm trying to say is everybody's freaking in their 40s in WWE. But yeah, we'll see what happens at Money in the Bank. We'll see if they add any matches to this card. They may just be trying to be the sort of polar opposite of AEW and say, like, we'll give you the shortest card possible. That's like the antidote to these 5-hour cards, you know?
I hate that. I hope they're not doing that.
It is crazy that they're going to have a 2-night SummerSlam, but Money in the Bank is 4 matches. Like, it's just weird.
Yeah.
To me, that kind of as a tacit signal, if I was holding WWE to the same criteria that I do with AEW, or the same expectation, where I expect to get something entertaining out of this exchange of my time and money, right? So with that few matches listed, it would signal to me, if I trusted WWE to, you know, give me something that's entertaining, it would signal to me that there's more that could happen. meaning it's in Los Angeles. There might be room on the card for like an appearance by, I don't know, The Rock or Travis Scott. But I actually don't think that's going to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because why would they give you something that's cool?
Well, it's just because they've kind of already advertised. They didn't advertise The Rock for WrestleMania, but they made everybody think The Rock was going to be at WrestleMania, and then he wasn't. So now I just think, okay, best case scenario is The Rock comes out and stands at the top of the stage and then does something that won't matter, right? Like he did at Bad Blood.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's what happens when you play with the fans, is that the expectation starts to get lowered, right? Just like the expectation of listeners to this podcast, which we are going to wrap up right now. So, folks, thank you for checking out the show. We appreciate you as always. We hope you like the new intro music, and we will be back next week. We are back now, folks. We are here to break down the biggest stories in and out of the ring. So, subscribe to the podcast wherever you find your podcasts: Spotify, Apple, Google. Find us on social media at W Wrestling Pod on X, Watch Wrestling Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, Threads. I think I'm going to start using our TikTok for show clips again. Watch Wrestling Podcast on TikTok. And yeah, hit the subscribe button, and we will not have zero problems.